But let's hold that thought here for a moment and let's watch an explanation video.
Neuroscience is an interdisciplinary field of research that deals with the brain and its structure, functions, and diseases. Involved are disciplines like biology, medicine, psychology, philosophy, and computer science. But how can knowledge of how the brain works help us in everyday leadership? First, there is an effect called negative distortion. We are more sensitive to negative experiences than to positive ones. That's why news with negative headlines sells better, or an unfriendly face on the street gets more of our attention than a friendly one. Why is that? We are drilled to make quick decisions in case of danger. The careful, time-consuming weighing of perceptions and information is sacrificed in favor of speed and economy. If we feel threatened, a red alert gets activated in our brain and the threat warning system is triggered. This signal is the basis for fight or flight reactions. Unfortunately, there is no green alert system. Yet we know that there's a neural system and how it is activated. The brain craves reward. If we feel joy or happiness, the thinking organ gets flooded with chemical messengers, so-called neurotransmitters. The most important chemical messenger in this system is dopamine. It generates desire, and the expectation of reward is therefore an important motivator. Based on these findings, neuroscientist Dr. David Rock has developed the SCARF model. SCARF stands for status, certainty, autonomy, relatedness, fairness. His model explains the basis for commitment and motivation in leadership. The aim is, through activation of the brain's reward mechanism, to increase the commitment and motivation of employees and at the same time minimize threats perceived by the brain. What does this actually mean? Status describes one's relative importance compared to others. Certainty refers to the ability to assess the future in a fairly reliable way. Autonomy is related to a sense of control, of options to influence and to choose. Relatedness refers to a feeling of being accepted and relates in the broadest sense to group membership. Fairness refers to balanced, fair treatment, for example, the correct relationship between performance and results. The world of work has changed in recent years. Due to permanent activation of the threat system, more and more employees see themselves as being in danger in neuroscientific terms. Therefore, it is important that executives understand what's going on with their employees and what drives them. What do they respond to and what makes them feel threatened? In summary, successful leadership in a neuroscientific way means activation of the reward mechanism, reduction of threat scenarios. This is equivalent to a revolution in everyday leadership. A company also needs a willingness to change at all levels, the freedom to experiment, to gain experience and to learn, joint testing and development of rules in everyday life. And all this should be done in a way that makes sense for the company.
This explanation video is actually based on a book of this Australian actor that you can see in the screen. This is Dr. David Rock. And the term NeuroLeadership was first used by him in 2006. Dr. David Rock is an active researcher and is the author of many books, all but most of them bestsellers, such as Your Brain at Work or Quiet Leadership, Coaching with Brain in Mind, or the Handbook of NeuroLeadership. And is also, very important, is also the co-founder of the NeuroLeadership Institute. And this institute is a global initiative that brings together neuroscientists on one hand, and also leadership experts to build a new science for leadership development. So you may find NeuroLeadership also called as brain-minded leadership. It is applying the scientific findings of neuroscience with leadership practice. And it integrates the latest findings from research in social neuroscience, also studies in human behavior, positive psychology, management theory, leadership practice, and organizational development. All this to help students and professionals to create what we are repeating, the brain engaging environments that optimize engagement, performance, and ultimately productivity and results. And according to the Strategic Leadership Institute, NeuroLeadership is transforming the way we lead and manage ourselves and others by bringing neuroscientific insight and understanding into leadership development. So let's now reflect on what is the importance and benefits of changing hospitality workplace into brain-friendly and how to lead in an engaging way. From what we have seen so far, by applying these principles and practices, leaders are empowering their people to function at their best by considering the neural processes that precede behavior. And the best place to start is still within ourselves. So understanding how our own behavior impacts the company culture, people, and their performance give us actually the opportunity to change our behavior in order to minimize the negative effect that it may have on those around us and to create these brain engaging cultures. But changing behavior is most of the time is difficult. Also, and hopefully, we see that neuroscientific research confirms that rewiring our brains, it's possible. So by practicing the principles of NeuroLeadership and rewire our brains, make us become the catalyst for a brain-engaging workplace culture. And since the pace and intensity of contemporary work culture are not likely to change, it's more important than ever to build resilience skills so we can effectively navigate our work life. And let's go back to the brain again. Actually, according to psychology theories, we have two systems of thinking, and you can see in the figure. And the logic of understanding these two systems is exactly the same that I was explaining the threats and rewards model. So I think now it's going to be easier. So we have this, what is the system one? And this is the automatic system. It represents 95% of our reactions. The system operates automatically, and it's quick. It's the quickest. And it works with little or no effort and no sense of voluntary control. And then we have system two, which is the reflective system. And this unfortunately represents only 5% of our reactions. This is a system that allocates attention to complex mental activities that demand it. So now I have a question for you. Remember the fight or flight situation? And the caveman. So when you are in a fight or flight situation, what are the chances that you use your 5%? Not many. In your mind. So your strongest muscle and worst enemy is your brain. Train it well, actually your mind, sorry, your brain. Train it well. And I think we're now in conditions to conclude on the most important skills to develop and also to find out about the tools that you can put in practice. So I believe that talking about nowadays leadership is to talk about resilience. Resilience is our ability to adapt well when faced with significant stressors or difficult situations. And factors that lead to resilience include optimism, the ability to stay balanced and manage strong or difficult emotions, and even this sense of safety and a strong social support system that David Brock was talking about and you saw in the explanation video. But be careful, because it's obvious that building this kind of resilient skills, it's not going to happen overnight. So research also shows us that a consistent practice of meditation, for example, it can help us to cultivate this mental strength. And in this state of mental strength, we can better manage our thoughts, emotions, and energy once we are faced with challenges. So to help you with all these, what can we put in this toolbox? How do you think that we can cultivate our own resilience? And also, of course, at the same time, keep our teams motivated, especially in this kind of context or with chronic negative stress, constant complexity, and change all the time. And a good solution might be consistently exercising mindfulness to train your brain. And people in education and hospitality are more than ever turning their attention to these training practices associated with mindfulness, and this is for good reasons. For example, from the consultant McKinsey, for example, they consider mindfulness practice as a powerful antidote, against the death of creativity, the dampening of productivity, and overall of unhappiness. And there is plenty of evidence on mindfulness benefits. For example, social psychologists found that mindfulness predicts judgment accuracy and insight-related problem solving. Organizational psychologists found that mindfulness facilitates job performance. Cognitive neuroscientists found that mindfulness enhances cognitive flexibility. And even medicine researchers found that mindfulness programs are effective in decreasing employee stress while improving resiliency and work engagement, so thereby enhancing overall employee well-being and even the organizational performance. More facts. Participants in mindfulness programs report significant improvements in resilience. It's proven. Further research indicates that mindfulness tools are highly useful for managing stress, improving collaboration, and enhancing well-being. Integrating mindfulness into your own lifestyle will for sure pay off. Integrating it into your organization is also critical. So the problem is that most organizations are not yet at this stage of acceptance and even adoption, but you are the future. And after all the scientific evidence, would you consider integrating these practices into your life? And unfortunately, the most frequent answer that I personally receive is the following. Anyway, to somehow reply to that, if it's your case, I have another short video for you. if you don't have time to do it right, when will you ever have time to do it over? The good news is that it's also proved that the practice of mindfulness meditation, and this was one of the questions, so if we do it in a consistent manner, even if only 10 minutes a day, this conducts structural changes in the neural circuitry. And also further studies shows that the daily meditation has significant results in new meditators, even after only 8 weeks of practice. This means there is a significant decrease in anxiety and also significant improvement in the overall cognitive functioning in less than 2 months of mindfulness practices. And there are many useful applications that you can download to your phone. You can just give it a try. And don't forget, success is a result of consistent practice. So I will ask you once more, would you consider integrating these practices into your life or not?